documentary. It was just like a fictional movie that was based on Black Eyed Kids in 2012, and that's the last I've been able to find anything about it.
Interesting. Now I got a question for you. Do you have like an air conditioner or a heater running behind you?
No. Currently, I am out on my patio.
Okay,
so I
that's
live
what I hear.
Right behind a hospital.
Okay, I hear like wind or something coming through. Anyway,
yeah, it's the best place to get reception on the phone.
Okay, well, we'll live with it. Well, can you tell us some black-eyed story of black-eyed children, even if we have to go back to 2012? A lot of this cryptic stuff, it comes and goes. So, it's popular one year, then all of a sudden you don't hear about it for a couple of years, and then it resurfaces.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the weird thing, because I mean, this is like almost a 20-year lull in it, where it's like been absolutely nothing. Like the original story I could find, and it comes from Abilene, Texas, and it's a gentleman by the name of his last name is Bethel, and apparently he was a writer, and he was heading up to go pay a bill, and he was writing the check in the parking lot of the theater that was in the same area. And these two kids walk up to his car, and he noticed that they didn't look like normal kids of the time, but they asked if they could get a ride back to their house so they could collect their money to go watch a movie. And he thought it was a little weird, but then when they started to get a little more, let's say, aggressive about getting into his car, and he really wasn't even like looking up at the kids, but then once he looked up at the kids, he noticed that their eyes were completely blacked out. And once he noticed that, the kids started getting frustrated for not giving him a ride, and obviously they couldn't get into his car because he wasn't allowing them to, and that's pretty much how all the stories that I've been able to find go. And I haven't found any stories where anybody has actually let them into their vehicles or homes or wherever they have seen them, but I would assume that nobody would have a story to tell, from as creepy as these stories get, if they actually let them in the house.
Well, I would think so. I remember one off Art Bell's show that a boy and a girl, and it was raining out, came up to this person's house, knocked on the door. The guy looked for his peephole, and he saw two children, a boy and a girl, under 10 years old, young. And they kept yelling through the door, "It's cold, we're lost, let us in, let us in." He noticed the black eyes, and he wouldn't let them in. And they went to the windows, and they kept, banging on the window, "Let us in, it's cold." And then, he checked the people, and then all of a sudden they were gone. But I don't know. James, my co-host, is out there. Don't you think that could be, in case like that, demons, where they have to be invited into your house?
It's funny you say that. It sounds along those same kind of lines, and it has a lot of similarities to vampire lore, But, yeah, I've seen these things. Now, I've never seen black-eyed children. Now, I have seen adults, and I many times or many years, periodically, that their eyes have turned all black, and they were either had serious evil attachment or something trying to possess them or being possessed. And that is a scary sight. I can tell you, if you look through a peephole when something's asking to come in, they got all black eyes. Yeah, that's all negative overtones. It's trying to lull you in by dropping your guard. Maybe especially with the guise of a children, because most people are going to drop their guard to a children saying, "Oh, you need help," and that's how they get you. So yeah, you're right. You're onto something there.
Yeah, because you feel sorry for them. They're young little kids, and you're worried and concerned. So yeah, the average person, I know my wife, she would not hesitate. She would open the door, and then I know, what would happen.
Right. I mean, yeah, and the general age of these kids being seen is from 6 to, let's say, the oldest would be like 16. And I don't know, to tell you the truth, like if I saw a kid just hanging outside my apartment, knocking on my door, asking to come in. Yeah, I've heard a couple of your shows where a guy says he sleeps with a loaded firearm next to his bed. Well, living in Florida, yeah, I can honestly tell you that I sleep with a loaded firearm next to my bed.
Well, a lot of people are that way because they get to the point they're concerned because of the supernatural or aliens or something that's out there.
Yeah, and I don't know what some 9mm plus P is going to do. Probably not a whole lot of nothing, but put a big old hole in a couple of walls of my house. But, yeah, I mean, a lot of the times, and when they see these kids, like, there's another story where, and I don't really want to put too much truth to this because he doesn't give like a location or a full name or anything like that, but somebody decided to put an anonymous ad on Craigslist, and it read, "Black Eyed Kids, I'm not afraid of you. I want to meet you. 9 p.m. Wednesday, the park bench on the corner of 3rd and Washington. Show me why I'm wrong and why I should be afraid." And he did this for like 6 months. And stopped posting the ad. The week he stopped, he got a knock on the door, sitting on his couch, little after 9. And he went to go answer the door, and there was Black Eyed Kids at the door. Olive skin, dark hair, solid black eyes, staring up at me. "Can I come in?" the kid said. And when he said no and began closing the door, the kid said, "We missed you at the park tonight." And yeah, that'd probably just make my heart just like want to just punch right out through my chest.
Well,
at that point.
Yeah, if the guy actually did put it in Craigslist, that's a bad thing to do. I can tell you, I've had nothing but bad experiences selling stuff off of Craigslist, but let alone you're asking for black eyed children off of Craigslist. Who knows what you're going to meet? But, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, to say the least, I mean, it's just, I mean, if you're begging for something paranormal to happen, one of two things are going to happen. A, it's never going to happen, or B, it's going to happen so bad that you're really going to wish that you hadn't wanted it to happen.
Well, you're inviting it. That's the scary part. I remember on Art Show another one where the guy claimed he went to a mall near closing time. It was pouring down rain to get a gift for his wife or something like that, as far as I can remember. And so he comes back to this car, and he's getting into his car, and it's a little boy and a little girl. And they're saying, "Hey, we're lost. My parents left us here." The whole, sob story. "We need a ride. And we're cold. Will you let me in your car?" And the guy was going to do it till he noticed their eyes were black. And he got in his car, drove off, and then he looked in his mirror and they were gone. They vanished.
Yeah. There's another story of, now, I don't suggest anybody do this, and I can't remember the location of it, but apparently it was somewhere where the lady just went into the store real quick, and I guess she left her, it wasn't a baby, but let's just say like anywhere from a 7 to 8 year old child in the car while she went into the store really quick to go pick up something. And when she comes back, she gets in the car and then notices there's an extra kid sitting in the back seat. And then she knows she's got black eyes, and she forces the kid out of the car, and then she takes off. And again, a lot of these, like, I spent a lot of time trying to find stories that, these are what I like to call the, well, you and I were talking earlier, you're a motorcycle rider, and I'm sure that you've done some wrenching on your bike.
A lot.
Yeah. So anybody who does any type of wrenching, and this goes for, you and James as well, when you're sitting there and you're working on a car, you're trying to find that cursed 10mm socket that you can never seem to find. This is what I like to call my 10mm socket stories. which is it has names, dates, locations, just something to tell you is like, okay, this is something that I can go find out and possibly research. And unfortunately, with the Black Eyed Kids, it's hard to find those stories.
It is.
With all of that data in it. Normally, it's just like, so-and-so saw this, so-and-so saw that. And I honestly, to me, those are good stories to read when you got the lights out and you want to creep yourself out. But as for something that you want to say, okay, this makes me believe in this, not so much.
See, I just don't know. A lot of people say that it's Black Eyed Children. It is all a fable. Not true. But then, there's other people I've talked to that claimed that they have seen Black Eyed Children. And again, I do think maybe they exist. If you believe in God and demons and all that, the devil and all that stuff, I think, maybe these Black Eyed Kids or adults of black eyes could be demons. What do you think, James?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's stories where they could be, they could be demons, they could be ghosts, or they could be aliens just doing mind tricks on you to try to get into your car or to abduct you. Or the other way out there story is that they're the children of the men in black. I actually find that one quite amusing.
Well, I want to hear about that, but we're going to be going on break in 2 minutes. After the break, I want to hear that, Black Eyed Children could be children of the men in black. I've never heard that one. Have you, James?
Yes, that one I find hilarious.
Yeah, James, what do you think?
I've heard a couple of theories on that. Also, a friend of mine who's a writer, before he became writing about all kinds of stories, when he was going to college, he shared a story of his encounter with black-eyed teenagers.
That's interesting.
And maybe after the break I can tell, but yeah, that was I'll tell you, that one there really sent chills down my spine.
Yeah, it's just, again, what's the difference if we're talking about Dog Man, or we're talking about the Lizard Man, or if we're talking about any other cryptids? I mean, it does fall into it. Now, just because it's been years since there's been a reporting of a black-eyed children, a lot of people, when they see these cryptids, they don't tell anybody because it's a lot different, Kelly, than saying to somebody, I saw a UFO. You sit there and say, well, hey, I just saw a Mothman, or I just saw, this or that. People would look at a lot of people like, okay, I wonder what he's been smoking tonight.
Well, a lot of that has to do, in my opinion, a lot of that, I look at it like maybe they don't know whom to go talk to about this. They'll probably go try to tell a UFO person, or oh, well, I don't want to, I don't research that, so I'm not going to do anything about it. And excuse me, they'll go talk to a paranormal investigator, well, I don't research that. So everybody just keeps kicking the can down the road, because in my book, all of the paranormal should be placed on, you should go just research it. Go take a quick look at it. What's it going to hurt? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's just so compartmentalized that maybe they don't have anybody to go talk to about it. So maybe the stories are out there. There's just nobody to talk to about it.
Oh, you're so right. So anyway, we're going to take a break, Kelly, so don't hang up. We'll be back in about 3 minutes. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio. Our guest tonight is Kelly Eyer. Am I saying your last name right?
Yes, you are, and thank you for getting it right. For a 4-letter word, people don't really get it right.
Okay. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
Where they shot 6 cops for fun. Jake, he thought it was the best there was down the interstate he saw, till the day he tangled with the county sheriff, who they all call 104. It was late on a Thursday evening, and Jake, he was feeling kind of mean, 'cause he just run out of his favorite drug, the one called amphetamine. So we started up to Petula, and I said, say, baby, let's split. There's a little gas station on down.